All right, the food stamp drama continues into December. Let me tell you exactly what just happened today, what was said, and how food stamps could be canceled for millions and millions and millions of people in the month of December. Now, I'm not talking like 2.3 million people. No, I'm talking like half the people, like 20 million people, could easily lose their food stamps in the month of December based on what was just said today and what USDA will likely start doing next week. Okay, this is getting crazy because in November it was absolutely nuts. I think we all recognize that. That was every single day, multiple times a day. There were all kinds of different changes on that. Obviously, I covered that all extensively. However, here we are, December, couple days into December, right here, right now, as I host this live stream. The Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins, said today in a cabinet meeting, and I want to bring it to your attention because they may be cutting SNAP funding next week for a lot of states. And this can impact a lot of people because if the federal government cuts funding to the states for SNAP benefits, guess what? States are broke. They don't have any money. They can't fund this program as we saw in November. Okay, so let me tell you exactly what happened. Okay, so I'm going to rewind just a second here and talk about what happened over the summer, a few months ago, because this plays a key role into this decision and what USDA is now talking about in regards to these states. Okay, so a handful of months ago, again, I don't remember exactly when it was, but sometime over the summer, so like, a handful of months ago, USDA requested all states submit information on beneficiaries to the USDA. Okay, so they basically said, hey, all states, all territories, submit your information to the USDA on beneficiary information. So they wanted to see all this information from all the states on everybody. Okay, that was requested. Now, 28 states complied. 28 states sent all the information that USDA requested, and they complied. One territory also complied. So 29 states and territories complied with the request out of USDA earlier in the year. Now, according to what was said today, out of Brooke Rollins, 22 states have not complied. 22 states have not complied, sending in all of the requested data to USDA on beneficiaries that are receiving food stamps, SNAP benefits. Okay, so what does that mean? Here's what it means. The Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins, said today in a cabinet meeting that if these states do not comply by the end of this week to send in all of their data on the beneficiaries to the USDA, the federal government will start holding their funds. Will start holding their food stamp funds. Now remember, food stamp program is very interesting. It's like a couple of other programs that are out there. It is federally funded, state administered. What I mean by that is the federal government gives the states money. States administer that money to the respective beneficiaries within their states. Okay? So with that being said, these 22 states, if they do not comply by the end of the day on Friday and get that information over to USDA, then they're in violation according to USDA, and USDA will hold their food stamp funding and will not send it to them. Therefore, the beneficiary at the end of the day doesn't get the money, does not get the money. Does this all make sense, right? So even if your state doesn't comply with this, you as a beneficiary may be the one getting hurt, okay? So, yeah, this is a nasty situation. Now, I do have a list up on my phone here of the 22 states. I can read it off for you if you'd like me to. I just need to pull it up here. But I can tell you the list of the 22 states that they are looking for here as far as that they may be cutting this funding on. Now, let me tell you a little bit more details on this. USDA sent out a notice, a letter, okay? So they sent it out a while ago asking them to comply, all of the states. Again, 28 states comply. However, they just sent out the same notice again this last Friday. So November 28th was this last Friday, okay? They sent out the notice again, and they gave them a deadline of this coming Friday, which is, what is that, December 5th, this coming Friday? They gave them a deadline of December 5th to comply with the notice and send over their information. Otherwise, they're canceling all of their food stamp money next week, okay? Money for the food stamp program canceled next week for the 22 states if they do not comply. Now, you might be wondering, Like I'm scared now. What are the states? Let me pull up the list for you. Hang on a second. It's going to take me a second to pull up this list. I have it right here. Hang on. Oh, here it is. Hang on. Here we go. Let me read off the list of states. I'm going to have my phone read the list to me, and then I will just say it back to you. Okay. The following 22 states. This doesn't, I'm not going to say that. Doesn't matter. Okay, here are the 22 states potentially in jeopardy of not getting food stamp funding by USDA and having that completely canceled in accordance with the remarks out of the Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins, today in that cabinet meeting. Okay, so these are the 22 states. If you are not in one of these 22 states, you're probably fine. If you're in one of these 22 states, the actions because of your state may prevent you from getting any benefits in the month of December. Okay, they may totally cut you off because your state did not comply. That's getting bad. Okay, here's the list. Oops, dang. Right as I'm about to say it, my battery goes low, and then it got me out of it. Hang on. Oh my gosh. Okay, here it is. Ah, man. Okay. Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Washington, Wisconsin. Okay, that's the list of 22 states that have not complied with the Agriculture Secretary order. So if you're in one of those 22 states that I just mentioned right there, your food stamp benefits for the month of December are at risk because of this. Okay, so your state not complying is basically going to mean you may not get your money for the month of December. Okay, here we go again, right? Are we all ready to do the same drama that we played out in November? Basically, the same thing is going to happen again here if these states do not comply. Now, I would imagine of the 22 states, again, I don't want to sit here and assume anything. I would imagine of these 22 states, a bunch of them probably will comply, but we all know how this goes. There's going to be a handful of these states that do not comply, and it's going to put those beneficiaries in these states in jeopardy of not getting their December benefit because they're getting totally cut off. Because here's the deal. Remember, I said this a couple minutes ago, and I'll say it again really quickly. The food stamp program is federally funded, state administered. In other words, if the federal government does not give the states money, the states don't have any money for the food stamp program to actually be distributed, right? Here's the deal. States pay for the administration of the food stamp program, and then the federal government pays for the actual benefit. Does that make sense? So the actual money that you get comes from the federal government, even though your state is the one that sends it to you, right? Does that make sense? They're the ones who deposit it onto your EBT card, but it actually comes from the federal government. The state just pays for the administration of the program, like the admin costs of the program, right? So the states, they don't pay for any of the actual benefit that goes out. My point being is that if these 22 states do not comply, they don't have the money to pay the beneficiaries. This could be really nasty for the beneficiaries, okay? And the whole point of this is to, extract some of the fraud and whatever else is going on in this program. That's the whole initiative here, because they want to look through all of the beneficiaries. They want to examine everything that's going on with the program and basically find any types of situations that are, not compliant with what they're saying here. Okay, is that going to make sense? All right, so let me read this list of 22 states again for you. In case you're just jumping on right now wondering what's going on here, let me read this list of 22 states again and tell you what's going on. Okay, so let me give you a quick little recap and tell you what's happening here. Okay, today there was a cabinet meeting, and the Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins of USDA, she was out and indicated in this meeting today that they sent out this notice to states. Okay, so a handful of months ago, they sent out this notice to states saying, hey, all states need to comply. You need to send in all of your SNAP, your food stamp information, as in on the beneficiaries to us, the USDA. They wanted to look through everything, okay? 28 states complied earlier in the year, sent over the information. 1 territory complied. Okay, so we got 28 states and 1 territory has complied. As of right now, according to what was said today in that cabinet meeting, that 22 states still have not complied. Okay, so that what that means is that according to what the Agriculture Secretary said today, and the notice that was sent out this past Friday, November 28th, to all the states that have not complied yet, they gave them 7 days and said, you need to comply and send all of your food stamp SNAP beneficiary information to us by the end of the day on Friday, December 5th, which is this coming Friday, just a few days from right now. You need to comply and send all that information in. Otherwise, we will cut, we will stop, we will cancel, we will prohibit these 22 states from getting any federal funding for the SNAP program if these states do not comply. Okay, so let me tell you this list of states that have not complied yet. These are the 22 states at risk of getting no food stamps in the month of December. If you're in one of these states, well, be aware that your state could potentially not take action, and you may be risking your food stamp in the month of December because of your state not taking action. If your state is not on this list, you're probably fine. Again, I don't know your exact situation. You're probably fine for the most part if you're not in one of these states. But if you are in one of the states, well, this may be a bad situation. Okay, let me read the list of states for you again. Okay, hang on. Okay, here's the list of 22 states again. These are the ones that have not complied. Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Kentucky, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Washington, Wisconsin. All right, that's the list of 22 that have not complied. Those are the 22 states and all the beneficiaries within them, which honestly, that's like 20 million people. That's like 20 million people right there, roughly, that are potentially at risk of not getting their December benefit because of their state, now, okay? Now, it's not quite as bad as the November situation where, the first half of November where all beneficiaries got nothing, okay? It's not quite as severe, but for the 20 million people that are potentially impacted by this, this is a very severe situation, and they're putting you in a very precarious predicament because they're not taking action on this, okay? I would imagine, I'm just guessing here, I don't want to assume anything, but I'm just guessing there's going to be some massive lawsuits behind this because these states are coming forward and they're like, no, we're not doing this, right? Obviously, they have not complied previously in the year, so why would they comply now, right? I imagine this is going to be another one of these situations like what we saw in November that was popping up, and, I imagine this is going to be a major situation, okay? Anyway, I will continue to watch this very closely for you. Anyways, wanted to jump on here really quickly and give you the information as far as what came out today. Obviously, I will continue to watch this very closely, just like in November. Anytime we get new updates on this, I will continue to bring it to your attention. The USDA has given these states until Friday to comply with this request out of the USDA. So let's see which states comply here. They've got a few more days to do this, to submit that information, and we will see what happens. I imagine some will. I imagine some won't. And this is going to be a major situation for the beneficiaries in these respective states. I will certainly keep you posted on that. By the way, huge thank you to all of you on that live stream from earlier today. I mentioned in that live stream earlier, the last 11 days or so, I've been dealing with shingles. Not a fun situation. The left side of my body is on fire all day long, and it's like I can't sleep. It's really nasty. It just hurts a lot. Anyway, I said that in the video or the live stream earlier, and a lot of you were reaching out in the comments in the section and saying lidocaine patches. Thank you for that. I appreciate the information. I will certainly check that out. I will reach out to the doctor that I saw yesterday. I was in for a follow-up yesterday. I was in urgent care /ER about a week ago, and I was like, what's going on with me? I hurt all over on my left side, and they're like, yeah, this is called shingles. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. But anyway, My point being is thank you for all of you that are reached out in that video from earlier, giving me some recommendations, some really good stuff rolling in. Yeah, by the way, if you ever experience shingles, I hope you don't. This is awful. I don't want anybody to go through this. But if you do, stay away from heat. That's my little hint for you right there. I think 2 days ago, I was like, I'm cold. I'm gonna get a heating pad. Bad idea. Bad idea. Okay. I laid on a heating pad for like an hour. That was really, really bad. Really bad. It was awful. It made it like really bad. It made it way worse. So please, if you ever get shingles, do not use heat. It is not a good idea. I didn't know until I did, and Corey was like, "You are like beet red. What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I was just laying on a heating pad." And she's like, "That's really bad. You shouldn't do that." So anyway, quick little pro tip for you. If you ever come down with shingles, which I hope you don't, learn it from me. Again, I learn a lot of things the hard way, apparently. Anyway, thank you once again for all of you for the very nice messages earlier. I really, really appreciate that. Hopefully I'll turn the corner on this thing very soon, and we'll be all better with that. Anyway, I'll keep you posted on this as I get more information that comes out with this. Otherwise, please have a nice rest of your day. I will catch you again a little bit later in the next video. More things going on, and as I get more information on anything right now, I'll bring it to your attention. And thanks again for watching this. Again, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you have not done so, please consider subscribing. Otherwise, feel free to share this live stream. Big share button down below right by the subscribe button. Otherwise, drop your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for watching this. All right, I'm going to unplug the mic. I always like to give this warning at the very end here. I'm going to unplug the microphone when I do. My phone's going to start talking. It's kind of loud and annoying. You may want to click off now, but if you don't want to, that's totally fine too. I appreciate it. Thank you again. I'll get a little bit later in the next video. All right, here we go. That hurts, by the way. Leaning forward. Oh my God. I forgot to. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Yes. Okay, I'll catch you later.